Hi everyone. Today I'm looking at Clair Obscur Expedition 33. There are a lot of really good things about this game. So first of all, it looks beautiful. I think the strongest thing, funnily, about this game is actually the character and more so the monster designs. They're really interesting. I mean, the whole backstory of this game is that the lead designer was laid off from, I believe, Ubisoft, and so there are a bunch of this French indie team. Well, but they have seasonal experience, so they're a double A studio, and honestly, double A studios make some of the best games because like double A today is triple A back in the 90s and 2000s. You have a small team under 50 people who have a passion project and they make something really, really cool. And when Expedition 33 was first revealed, I was super hyped for it. I was really, really excited. In fact, I looked at my Discord message history and I literally said verbatim to my friend, finally, some good original content. I was going into this super excited. And so basically, the lead designer was like, "Hey, I love Final Fantasy. I love RPGs. We're all laid off. Why don't we just make our own thing at a small studio?" And so I fully support, that whole philosophy. I guess that's the kind of leads into the weird politics of the game, which is that the idea of the underdog, of industry experienced people making passion projects who actually do have proven talent and proven worth, and not just some weird indie guy who's like, "Oh, I'm going to make a sequel to your favorite game, but I have no experience." These people have experience. These people have the technical know-how, and they have, the passion behind it. Hellblade, I think, is a perfect example of a game that I absolutely loved, and then it got bought out by Microsoft, and the sequel kind of sucked. So it's in the same vein as Larian Studios with Baldur's Gate 3. Again, a game I personally didn't really like. I didn't necessarily hate it on any level. I just said, this is a CRPG. This is a different, breed of game. I just can't really get into it, but I appreciate it for what it is, and I'm glad people enjoy it. And I like how smaller studios, passionate studios, real art is getting recognized and represented in the industry. So that's kind of my political view. Ever since 2010 and up until 2030 and probably beyond, we are going to be living in a place where money and profit have been the ruling class of this industry with, EA and all these other companies. And to see a small team of experienced professionals make a passion project and get recognized for it, that's what I want to see. I need to see more original ideas and content being pedestalized and respected and revered, and taking away the glory from the money-hungry corporations, which is, this is like every other industry, from movies in Hollywood to the music industry to actual art, I guess, which even really isn't a thing at this point. But yeah, this is what I want to see happen. So for weird political, industry, unrelated reasons of the environment that this game exists in, I really want it to succeed. And I was really interested in it too. And it's an original idea, original concept, and, all this other stuff. But personally, between me and the actual art, despite, the medium which it takes, I really just don't like it. I really despise Expedition 33 for really one reason. And I'm just going to cut to it right now. It's the writing. I hate the writing in this game. I just have to be honest with you guys. And why do I hate the writing in this game? And I actually sat down and had to think about this for a while. It's like, okay, I don't like this game's writing. It's saying I hate it is a little bit even harsh. Because the one game's writing, when I think of the worst writing in all of gaming history and all of media history, it's probably Borderlands. Ugh. It's just constantly smarmy, superior, self-indulgent memes and joking that have no bearing on the reality in front of you. It's like they're cracking jokes while unrelated things are happening, and it's just a mess. Expedition 33's writing, the reason I think I have an issue with it is that, well, it honestly, it feels like Diet Marvel. It feels like Marvel Light. And it feels like, for example, in the whole opening sequence where you have the gourmage of Sophie, they know that they're going to die, right? They know that this is it. This is this big thing, and of course, Gustav has this whole backstory where they used to date, but it's been 4 years and he hasn't like done anything about it. So there's this whole aspect of it where I think the core aspect of what is bad writing is whether or not I believe it. And there's a level of subjectivity to that, because if you're someone who's like, I don't know, a child or something, you kind of believe everything. You believe in Santa Claus, and it's very difficult to have that sense of believable writing. And it's not that it's unbelievable that these characters have magic powers and they're flying around. Like even in, Sonic, it's like, okay, this character is this way, but the thing is they're consistent and believable. Like, yes, Sonic is a blue hedgehog running around making wisecracking jokes and he's being silly all the time, but it almost makes sense in the world and it's consistent. And when there's drama, he reacts appropriately. When Tails almost dies in SA2. So I think when you have an established universe, as long as it's consistently believable, that's fine. I'm going to tell you what is not believable. The fact that every year a certain age of people gets genocided and he spent 4 years not talking to the woman that he used to love. The fact that his sister is in part of the preparation for the gommage, which is and the entire structure of Paris and the preservation of this town. And she goes up to Gustav after the gommage and tells him, "Oh, please don't go on the expedition. Why don't you stay here and help us?" And I'm like, with what? Like prolonging the suffering of humanity? Setting up festivals and tables while there's no hope. Like, have you just given up? And so there's this weird disconnect where you're supposed to live in this apocalyptic kind of fight for survival, but no one is seemingly disturbed by this scenario, and yet you're going on this massive expedition, and it's not like, oh, this is the last fight for humanity, this is super serious. No, they're joking around, they're having drinks as a festival, like, all right, everyone's dead, let's celebrate, and let's go on a huge military expedition to stop her. Like, I understand it's happened every year, but you think every year be more dire. It'd be like Naucasia or like Valley of the Wind, or some kind of like more desperate struggle. And this whole kind of laid back thing just doesn't make any sense narratively. The third thing that just absolutely was the nail in the coffin for me is because leading up to this gourmage thing, I'm like, oh wait, maybe this isn't the number disappears and the genocide and everyone dies. And because it seems too lighthearted, and then that's exactly what happens. All the people die. Sophie dies. It's very beautiful. It's aesthetically very kind of emotional how it looks. And Gustav is kind of like, oh darn, she's dead. And then the scene immediately preceding that is these two other characters coming up to him and encouraging him to drink wine and like, oh, it's better if we mourn together. And they're kind of joking and jostling and being like, oh gosh. And it's this quirkiness that is so divorced from what is happening that I don't believe these characters. And I do like the characters on their own, but the situation they've been placed in and their reaction to it doesn't make sense. They're watching people die in front of them and they're like, oh well. And it's just such an unserious form of writing that I can only really look at what is similar to it is Marvel, where you have the story of the superhero and he goes out and he saves the day and he's never wrong and nothing ever happens. There's never any consequences, really. Yes, in the hero's arc, you need to have that one point where the hero is defeated, but he always comes back and he always saves the day. And it's this feeling that everything is just going to work out. So don't worry about it. Just enjoy the characters and don't think if they're going to actually die or not. something like the climax to the Matrix, where Neo is making this final decision if he should go in and save Morpheus, even though it's a suicide mission. It's that weight of making that choice of thinking, if I do this, we'll probably fail. We might not make it out alive. We could lose a lot of people. We could lose a lot of things. This is a huge risk. There are stakes. In here, technically there are stakes, but I'm not convinced of them. If this is how you react to your most dear-hearted loved one dying, like, it's just weird. It's just very, very strange behavior, to the effect that when they land on the continent and they all get totally wiped out and genocided, I was kind of like, good, you deserve it. Like, your reaction to human struggles doesn't make sense. And just overall, it was just so, and the characters are like, oh yeah, I'm the historian, and they're all kind of like building towards a future that won't exist unless they take out the paintress. The disconnect of the setting of the plot and the character reaction was divorced. And that's the main thing that really just stuck with me and made me want to drop the game. I just hated it, frankly. I just hated the writing, which is a huge shame because everything else about this game is really, really great. For example, I love the environments, I love the settings, the aesthetics. I mean, even like AA, studios can make graphics. Graphics have plateaued at this point. So really now it's going to be things like art design and art direction that are really going to cap out and win out in the battle for graphics. You could have the best looking concrete in the world, but if it's concrete, if it's nothing interesting, if it doesn't have a design or an artist rendition to it, then who the hell cares? So in a way, the more artistic and better designed games and the better programmed games, I hopefully would win out, rather than just people saying, oh yeah, this one looks the best, but it plays like whatever. So yeah, I mean, I honestly was so aggravated. I started rewriting a script where Gustav is much more somber, much more serious, much more existential, and he's kind of I even had this thing where Sophie like already died 4 years ago, and he's still kind of Silent Hill coping with it. And he brings that sort of psychological trauma into the expedition. And his sister's trying to like make sure that he's recovered from it, and he assures her, but really he's dealing with the stress and trauma on his own. Like, that's just something I made up on the spot. And oh yeah, and lo and behold, this whole idea of characters acting in a Marvel-ification way to their environment, you look into it, and turns out who was the writer for this game. They sourced a lot of things from the internet, from SoundCloud and whatever. And I mean, honestly, the music aesthetically are great. But where did they get the writer from? They got him from Reddit. So go effing figure why the writing is terrible. But I digress. It's a weird position to be in. The actual gameplay itself, it's pretty decent. It's kind of like pseudo live act, not totally. It is strictly turn based. It's not active turn based like FF7. But it's kind of like a combination of Paper Mario with more pairing focus. So everything is super turn based. It shows like a list of characters. The UI, by the way, is very much inspired by Persona 5. The fact that the characters have guns, and that's like your alt attack, almost exactly like Persona. They did add a cool feature to it though, where you can actually aim your gun at the enemies, and I thought that was really cool. But yeah, again, the gameplay it feels fluid. The parry window is a little bit hard to get, but it's once you get it, you kind of get it. The gameplay is serviceable. It's fun. The music is definitely pretty good, I would say. The presentation, everything, they have a lot of passion. They put a lot of stuff into this. And for it to be ruined by the writing is just such a frustrating development. I really was looking to really enjoy this, and I just couldn't. It was a very weird experience for me personally, because I was hyped for this game. This is exactly the kind of game I want to be made. A hyper beautiful, obscure abstract, interesting, artistic game that deals with, struggle and loss and existentialism, and, it's very fluid and dynamic and beautiful looking. It's so weird. The notion of the game I love, but actually interacting with the real version of it, the real person, like the idea of a person, and then meeting the actor in real life is such a whiplash to me that I just can't get into it. But I hope it does well. I hope it succeeds, and I do hope it wins Game of the Year, so then they can, fund a sequel and maybe just hire a better friggin' writer, honestly. But yeah, I think there's a lot of room for potential and improvement here. But yeah, I think for now it is what it is, and I think we'll have to just move on with it. But yeah, that's my opinion on it. Good or bad, I just kind of wanted to get ahead of this and give my genuine opinion of actually playing the game before the hype, before the counter narratives or pro narratives come out. This is my genuine reaction. I played it for a few hours and I just could not continue with it. I did not care. I watched a bit more of it on YouTube and was just uninterested in these character struggles. I don't know what else to say. I just, there's better writing in like plenty of other indie games. Actually, there was this new game like Blades of Fire. That was one that I just was completely blown away. That's like the writing and the characters were just instantly engaging, way better written. And yeah, so writing in games is pretty important, I guess. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say about this one, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.